Senator Jabarov, the U.S. wants to push Kyiv into provocation in Donbass. Washington is preparing a provocation in order to push Kyiv to reckless actions against Russia in Donbass, believes the deputy chairman of the Federation Council Committee on International Affairs Vladimir Jabarov. Earlier it became known that 8,500 U.S. servicemen are put on high alert to be transferred to Europe to reinforce NATO. The U.S. is preparing a provocation with one single purpose: to create a psychosis in Ukraine in order to push Kyiv to a provocation against Russia in Donbass, Jabarov said. In his opinion, the announcement of the evacuation of personnel of diplomatic missions in the country and recommendations to Americans not to visit it are also aimed at creating the impression that war is inevitable. The U.S. Treasury reduced the license of GAZ Group. The U.S. Department of Treasury has shortened the validity of Russian GAZ Group's licenses to 90 days. This happened against the background of the situation around Ukraine, according to the website of the U.S. agency. Previously, such documents were issued for a year. A Treasury spokesman told Reuters that the previous licenses would expire on Wednesday, January 26. Earlier, it was reported that U.S. congressmen proposed to impose sanctions against Russian officials, as well as security officials, businessmen, and journalists. The State Duma, in turn, promised a mirror response if new restrictive measures are adopted. Biden made peace with journalist he offended, Fox News journalist Peter Doocy, who was insulted by Joe Biden after a question about inflation, said the U.S. president called him. An hour later he called me on my cell phone and said, "Nothing personal, buddy," Doocy was quoted as saying. According to the reporter, he and Biden talked about moving forward, with Doocy promising that he would continue to ask the president different questions than others. The reporter noted that Biden defused the situation, and the conversation went well. The media representative assured that he and the head of state had no hard feelings towards each other. Representative of State Department Price, the U.S. will not yield to Russia on security issues. Washington does not intend to make concessions to Moscow, and progress is possible only on the basis of mutual agreements. The key point is that any steps of the U.S. side will not be concessions and should be taken on a reciprocal basis, he said. Price added that Russia will also have to do something to ensure security. The State Department spokesman also said that the U.S. is holding consultations with partners. He also said that Washington plans to respond in writing this week to Russian proposals for security guarantees. The West's disregard of Russia's security concerns will have the most serious consequences. This primarily concerns NATO deployments near Russia's borders and the ongoing military development of Ukraine by the U.S. and its allies. This warning was voiced by the Foreign Ministry, commenting on the results of the negotiations between Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and his U.S. counterpart Antony Blinken in Geneva on Friday. The ministry noted that this can be avoided if Washington responds positively to our draft agreements on security guarantees. NASA, the James Webb Telescope is in working orbit on Monday. Specialists from NASA have carried out the final maneuver to correct the trajectory of the telescope James Webb. As a result, the device was deduced to the second point of the Lagrange, in a final orbit of 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. At 1400 hours on the time of the east coast of the United States, Webb made the turn on its boosters for about 5 minutes for the final course correction, quoted by TASS message NASA. "Welcome home. We are one step closer to solving the mysteries of the universe," so commented the director of the U.S. Space Agency Bill Nelson, the arrival of the telescope to the working orbit. He also noted that he is looking forward to seeing new views of the universe as early as this summer. Experts note that the orbit in the area of the second point of the Lagrange is the most successful place for the telescope. At such an arrangement, the optics of the device will always be in the shadow of the Earth, which will save it from overheating. At the same time, the telescope is available a good overview of space objects. Space Telescope James Webb was created by the U.S., along with Canadian and European space experts. It is named in honor of James Webb, the head of the Apollo program. The telescope is supposed to replace the Hubble Observatory in orbit. It was originally supposed to happen in 2013, but work has fallen far behind schedule. James Webb was launched in late December from the Kourou launch site in French Guiana.